And then there was this intense flash of light that lit up the whole quad. That evil little Nymphian and her minions stopped, and we all watched. The girl I had saved became one of us.
Wow. I can't believe it. Just like that?
Yeah, just like that. And then I fought the Nymphian alone while the new guardian, Persephone, dealt with the minions. It was all so crazy. Well, the Nymphian fled, and we won. Sort of. Then again, the aftermath wasn't pretty.
Aftermath meaning the victims. As far as you know, how many of them survived?
None. That evil little Nymphian drained them all, taking all of their nom energy. 14 people dead. The university released a statement saying it was some kind of strange gas leak and they're looking into the matter. These new Nymphians are way worse than the Oberon Core ones. Not that they are bad, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It still doesn't change the fact that humans are being killed by Nymphians. Are the Oberon Core Nymphians doing anything to stop this?
They told me they're trying to find the new Nymphian citadel, and also prepare for what they're calling a turf war. They're trying to implement defenses to protect their operations, but Alvinia told me she would try and share some of the tech to protect us as well.
Yeah, but Duinville is a big city, so there's only so much they can do. Something troubles me.
Is it that the Oberon Core Nymphians are preparing to protect their own interests over us humans? Because that is stabbing me in the heart like crazy.
That is exactly what I'm thinking. It's not wrong for them to do it. They have to look out for their best interests.
And at the end of the day, we have to look out for ourselves. At least I'm not alone anymore.
Yeah, about that, I wonder if you'll get more awakened allies.
What do you mean?
So, hear me out. For the longest time, it was just me, Tyler, and Nicholas against the Oberon Core Nymphians. And during that time, we were sufficient in beating them each and every time. Well, as soon as Merica took over the Citadel, there was a significant change in the danger level that we faced. As Merica's plans began to unfurl, you were awakened to Sparkle Guardianhood.
It was peaceful for a long time. There wasn't a need for another Sparkle Guardian other than me. Now that danger has returned to the land, another one is awakened.
If I'm right about my hunch, there will be more Sparkle Guardians who appear.
Because it's about to get way more dangerous.
I think so. I'll touch base with the others so they can be on standby too.
Thank you. This is all too much. I don't know if I can handle this.
Of course you can. Firstly, you're immensely strong. You wouldn't have been chosen to be Sparkle Guardian Demeter if you weren't strong. Secondly, you have a team who is here to support you. While most of us are not physically able to support you, we can emotionally. Thirdly, and I truly believe this, the universe will not let you face this alone. It's already started giving you allies.
And do you really think there will be more Guardians?
Yes, and you will need to lead them.
But you were always the leader.
My time has come and passed. Long live the reign of Demeter! Why do you doubt yourself?
Because I'm about to be the third wheel in a nasty conflict, one that I want no part of.
Do you regret becoming a Sparkle Guardian?
Of course not.
Do you still hold true to the promises you made?
Yes, I do. This is just hard. It's not like anything I had ever expected.
None of us expected any of these things to happen to us. Remember, Tyler had his guts ripped out. We don't ask for the obstacles to be placed before us. We can only find the inner strength to persevere. I believe in you.
I believe in me too.
So, tell me about Sparkle Guardian Persephone. What's she like?
Oh, well, she's a college student at the university here. She's studying historic preservation, and her name is Raquel Mendoza.
There was a brief silence, and Dana looked at the phone curiously.
Did I lose you?
Oh, I'm still here. Your voice sounds strange.
Strange. How?
Well, your voice was a little more, wobbly. Maybe a different octave? I don't know. Did something happen between you two?
No, nothing happened.
Sure.
Enough about me. Let's talk about you. What's new with you?
Okay, fine. I had this big meeting with some of the bigger clients in the area, and
All right, let's start the meeting. We have a lot to discuss, and we have little time to execute.
Karina sat in the large conference room along with the other Anam energy operatives, the arcanists from R&D, the refinery technicians, and the department heads of both R&D and Anam refining. Lynette, the executive assistant, sat just left of Alfreda, the Citadel commander. Including Karina, there were a total of 5 Anam energy operatives. R&D also had a combined staff of 5 as well. The largest department was Anam refining, totaling 20 technicians. Karina sat beside Zarida, and another operative named Modeski. Aside from Alfreda and Lynette, the only other person Karina recognized was Olilee, the arcanist. Olilee sat with the other arcanists, and she gazed at the commander with a somewhat bored expression.
As we have mentioned before, there is another Nymphian company in the area. So far, they have only initiated their own Anam harvesting operations. Only, they are more aggressive toward the human population. Due to their presence, it will affect the long-standing peace we have established with the Sparkle Guardians.
There was a slight murmur among some of the other operatives. A couple of the others gave amused grunts, while Modeski whimpered slightly.
While I have no intention of creating any issues with the Sparkle Guardians, we need to institute more defensive measures that will protect our Anam energy collection endeavors. We are going to send teams to each of our sites to reinforce them.
One of the arcanists started squirming in her seat, and she cast a noticeable glance over to Alvinia, the head of R&D. The Citadel commander grinned.
Before anyone gets unnecessarily apprehensive, Alvinia has expressed that a majority of the R&D team is nervous about fieldwork. With that being said, Alvinia has already designed specialized drones that can be operated remotely in order to accommodate what I am about to ask of all of you. Miss Olilee, you're still fine with fieldwork?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Olilee. So, here's the plan. We have 4 major Anam energy collector sites in Duinville. And so we're sending teams composed of 1 operative, 1 arcanist, and minions to each site. Each team will be installing additional surveillance, shielding, and new turret defenses to each of our collectors. In the case of 3 of those teams, operatives will be accompanied by the specialized drones. One of the teams will be doubled up on operatives, as that team is going to the site located in the area with the most frequent appearances by the other company.
Alfreda pointed to each of the operatives in turn.
Gadeen, you and Veesa will be the doubled up team, and you're to go to Site 1. Make sure you take your minions with you, and be prepared for a fight. Your drone will be piloted by Yatif.
Yes, ma'am. If they show their faces, they'll pay.
Oh yeah, we'll be ready.
Modeski, you'll visit Site 2. It's the one furthest from the activity where the enemy has been, but still, be vigilant. Goranda will be your drone partner.
Yes, ma'am.
Zarida, I want you to visit Site 3. Your drone partner will be Abjid.
You can count on me.
A sudden, flighty, dancing sense of unease jostled in Karina's stomach, although it wasn't quite unpleasant. It was just present. Her eyes fell upon the last remaining arcanist.
Karina, I would like you to go with Olilee to Site 4.
Oh, hi there. I didn't keep you long, did I? Oh, no worries. So, I've never been to Site 4. Have you?
Olilee walked into the teleportation chamber, dressed in her usual attire, but she also had several other artifacts as well. She wore a similar belt as the one she had given Karina, although her belt had wand holsters, with a pair of light brown wooden wands in them. Olilee also had a pair of goggles on her forehead, with green lenses. An infinity bag hung from her back, as if she were going to school.
I've never actually been sent to the field yet, so I'm totally stoked! I've been to the city on off-hour excursions. Oh, that reminds me. Have you ever been to Anthony's? No. I haven't really explored the city off the clock yet. Oh, I have to show you that awesome restaurant sometime. My supervisor recommended it to me, and I love their sandwiches. Looks like we'll get to explore Site 4 together.
Karina and Olilee stepped on the teleporter pads, and they pulled out white crystals. A brilliant flash of energy engulfed them, and when it faded, Karina and Olilee were on the outskirts of a graveyard. They pulled out their HABs, attached them to their clothes, and then activated them. Both Karina's and Olilee's appearances were identical to their Nymphian forms, only larger in dimension.
So, where are we?
Olilee pulled out a crystal ball from her infinity bag. She began tapping on the surface.
Ooh, neat. This is apparently one of the oldest graveyards in Duinville, with some of the graves dating back to 300 years ago. Apparently, the Anam energy collector is concealed as one of the standing above ground crypts. The indicator says it should be that way.
Karina and Olilee were on the backside of a large graveyard, with a forest to their backs, and winding black iron gates in front of them, making a perimeter around the hollowed burial grounds. According to Olilee's data, the graveyard in question was on the southern side of the city, on its very edge. Numerous lines of tombstones stretched to the vast interior within the iron gate. Karina channeled her magic, turned her body into stone, and then punched the tops and bottoms of 3 of the bars. They came off from the iron gate, creating a space for them to crawl through.
Wow, pretty smart! If we ever have to come back, we can just slip through here. Nice going. Oh, thanks.
Karina and Olilee began walking along the tombstones. A slightly suffocating sense of silence dominated the area, and Karina couldn't help but glance all about. There weren't any humans in sight, and the terrain was open enough to be perfect for an ambush. Olilee ran her fingers across her crystal ball, apparently oblivious to the potential danger. In the midst of scouting out the area, Karina managed to sneak a couple of discreet glances over to the Arcanist. Karina's heart swelled a little, and a slight heat had ignited in her cheeks. The tombstones they strolled past were well over 200 years old, and they had been weathered down by time and rain.
It's strange that humans bury their dead like this, rather than cremation. All this space is going to waste. And all for what? Yeah, humans are kind of strange. Some of the things they do don't make any sense. Like the healthcare system in this country, for example. It's bananas! On the other hand, some things they create are amazeballs. Oh? Like what? Like nachos, artwork, musical theater, horror movies, video games, satirical humor, and stand-up comedy, to name a few. What are nachos?
Olilee stopped dead in her tracks, cocked a curious eyebrow, and then chuckled. She started moving again, this time with a little more pep to her step.
I'm almost tempted to go off mission and correct this grave and horrid atrocity. Ugh, what are nachos? But we can't deviate from the mission, otherwise Elvinia will get mad, and we can't have that. But mark my words, as soon as we're done here, we're getting nachos! But what is it? What are nachos? To be frank, nachos are life! life.
Don't worry about it for now. As soon as you see it, and once I demonstrate, you'll understand. So, how much of the human world have you seen yet? Anything catch your eye? Anything you like?
Oh, I've not traveled here much, aside from my first mission. I've been mainly just staying in my quarters.
Is there any reason in particular?
I don't know if I should tell you. It's going to sound silly.
First of all, I love silly. I made crazy minions who love getting exploded. And that's just the tip of the iceberg for me. I'm kind of bonkers. And as someone who's probably chaotically insane, I'm sure whatever you think is silly isn't all that silly. However, I also understand if you don't want to talk about it.
No, it's fine. You asked, so I guess I can tell you. I kinda don't like the job.
Olilee stopped for a moment, which caused Karina to halt as well. There was a large oak tree nearby, and so Olilee gestured over to it, so Karina followed. They sat beneath the tree, cross-legged.
You don't like being an Anom energy operative? Did something happen?
Well, so far it's okay, but it's just not what I saw myself doing. As a kid, I mean. Did you ever imagine what life as a grown-up could be?
Well, yeah. I've always wanted to be an Arcanist.
So did I. I went to college with the express purpose for becoming an Arcanist. I just didn't have the grades. Both my moms were successful Anom energy operatives, and so they were disappointed when I majored in Arcana studies. To appease them, I minored in Anom energy collection.
Ah, and when you didn't get into the Arcanist artificing program, you switched your major and minor?
Yeah, pretty much. The thing is, I'm pretty good at operative stuff, and the field is okay. I just don't love it.
So what do you want to do, in terms of an alternative?
I don't know. Arcane science? I love it, you know? I love the idea of coming up with solutions and creating something new.
Is that why you didn't go into Anom refining? That's still arcane science. Don't answer that. You're like me. Who wants to just stare at Anom energy as it's processing? Boring. When you wanted to make cool new things. Oh, I totally understand. So, what is your favorite aspect of making stuff?
I always enjoyed the prospect of solving problems, or making a process easier, so you could divert that same thought energy to something else. I wanted to have that feeling of being useful.
And doing Anom energy operations doesn't do it for you?
Like I said, it's okay. It's not what I wanted.
For a long moment, Olilee and Karina just sat there as the wind blew past them. A slight smell of rain started to saturate the land, and thunder rumbled somewhere in the distance. Karina started to get up, but then Olilee spoke.
I have an idea! One that could solve both of our problems!
Both of our problems? You have problems too?
Of course I do! All great geniuses are burdened with problems. Otherwise, it simply wouldn't be fair. But seriously, I really think we could help one another, if you're up for it.
Well, what do you have in mind?
Okay, I have some really great ideas related to new artifact designs and such. And I could totally use someone else to work with. Someone to bounce ideas off of, someone to give me another perspective, and, well, I kinda don't have anyone else to ask for help.
What about the other Arcanists?
They like me. I realize that most of the time I'm really intense. I'm super passionate about the things I care about, and sometimes I go a teensy bit overboard. And I kind of yelled at them.
You yelled at them?
Yeah. Well, we had this meeting, and they were complaining about having to go into the field, which was causing more issues for my boss, Alvinia. Before that meeting, I always suggested what some people would consider strange and far out there ideas. And also, those three are kind of boring.
Boring? How so?
Now, I realize that there is nothing wrong with their perspective or views, but those three always play it safe. I can't play it safe and diminish my light. Ugh. I live for finding cool new solutions that are outside the box. It makes the world more interesting, and I learn way more about myself, the craft, and the worlds around me when I take good and interesting risks.
Your minions, the ones you splice with armadillos and phoenixes. It was so strange, but it was also so cool.
I know, right? And actually, it's more complex than that. The bodies of the minions are composed of replicating cellular masses of spliced mutants of armadillos and phoenixes. The souls are another matter, though. The souls of the minions are disembodied spirits from other dimensions who long for pleasure. Well, I designed the artifact to insert these spirits into the body of the minions when you throw the balls. They aren't born each time you bring them out, but they are essentially summoned into flesh suits. Sort of like piloting giant fighting robots.
Wait, you said the spirits long for pleasure? Did you affect the brain chemistry and nerve system of the bodies?
Yes! Oh my goodness, you really do have the heart of an Arcanist! Get this, I modified the genetics of the replicating bodies by turning off their pain receptors and dramatically increasing the sensitivity of the pleasure parts of the brain. When they explode, it's like them having a full-blown, full-body orgasm!
Oh my. How did you even come up with that? None of the other operatives have minions like mine.
You mean like ours?
Olilee patted her own belt.
My belt is the Mark II model. Instead of armadillos, I just made them straight phoenixes. Those little babies are fast. Anyways, back to the point. I'd like to know if you would like to spend some time after you get off being my assistant.
Your assistant?
Yeah! There are some things I want to try. Some personal projects that I think have merit, but they aren't in line with what R&D has me working on at the moment. Alvinia says we're allowed to use the facilities if we want for personal projects, so I was hoping that you might want to help me? Besides, I hope this doesn't sound weird, but I was hoping it could be like us hanging out.
Hanging out? You'd want to hang out with me?
Well, yeah. You really like arcane science, and you could really appreciate my, eccentricities. Not only that, but you gave me a chance with my minions, and I don't know, I could really use a friend.
Your minions saved my life. And I do understand how you feel about arcane science. I'd like to hang out with you, if you really think I'll be able to help you make cool artifacts. And I also think I'd like to become friends with you.
Really? Oh, yay! Thank you! Oh, we're going to make some crazy stuff! And after you clock in some time as my assistant, maybe we could approach Alvinia about you maybe transferring over to our department. Who knows? One day you could be an Arcanist.
Wait, what? But I don't even have a degree in arcane science.
You had a minor in it. So what if you don't have the degree? You could gain experience. You could also start doing online classes to get into the major through the back door, or transfer your credits to another institution. All I know is that if you'd rather be in arcane science, why not move forward in that direction?
Yeah, I suppose that's true. And it will be fun, regardless if it leads to a possible department transfer. And maybe I can field test all the artifacts we make.
OMG, yes! I love that idea!
Olilee stood up and then helped Karina up to her feet.
I can tell this is going to be the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Come on, let's go reinforce Site 4. And then, nachos!
Sounds good to me.
Zarida smiled as the deep blue light faded, revealing the teleportation chamber around her. She slid the black crystal inside her pouch, and then made her way toward the exit. Before she left, Zarida waved warmly at the teleporter pad operator. The floors, walls, and ceilings of the Citadel were made from dark blue, almost black crystal material, and it gave the corridors a diminutive and oppressive nature. Zarida preferred these halls over the stark white ones. A certain blue-haired, amethyst-eyed beauty leaned against one of the walls, just before the intersection of the hallways.
There you are. I was wondering what was taking you so long.
Zarida strolled forward and wrapped her arms around Heaux's waistline and pulled her close. Instinctively, Heaux's arms wrapped around Zarida's shoulders. Their lips pressed together moments later. Passion-filled moments stretched on forever, and Zarida pushed her against the wall. She loved feeling her lover's body smashed up against her own. Heaux broke the kiss, and then bit Zarida's neck hard, which caused her to moan loudly.
Oh, I want to drag you back to the room and whip you for being away so long.
Soon, my mistress, my love. Did you at least entertain yourself with the humans while I was away?
Zarida stepped back and then she kept hold of Heaux, who also clutched her lustily.
Oh, yes. I reveled as I watched the shimmer in their eyes fade to nothingness. So far, I'm beating Jodesha in the amount of Anam energy collected. You'll never catch up, especially if you're harvesting for the Oberon Corporation.
You vicious little minx. Rub some salt in my wounds, why don't ya? Then again, I am the best corporate spy Titania Technologies has on the books.
Oh, I'll do much worse than rub salt in your wounds. I'm going to make you bleed and then lick you clean.
Damn. If it weren't for Kolumbia's wrath, I'd beg you to drag me to our room now.
If it wasn't for her wrath, I would have already dragged you by your hair.
She stepped away from Zarida and then started walking back down towards the hall.
You have 15 minutes before I leave to find another person to torture.
15 minutes? Why must you mistreat me so?
14 minutes, 50 seconds.
Zarida pivoted around and sprinted down the hallway. Her heart twisted in her chest, and images of the potential delights and punishments she could receive heated up the blood in her veins. She only stopped when she made it to the receptionist desk. The receptionist, a Nymphian named Taiga, sat behind the desk, typing away at her keyboard. She was perhaps the oldest Nymphian Zarida had ever known, with a whopping 485 years of life. She had short alabaster hair and milky white eyes. There were wrinkles on her face, and yet she was dignified. Taiga wore a dark brown skirt, a purple blouse, and a pair of black pumps. She didn't even look up at Zarida as she came up.
Hi there. Is Kolumbia free? I just need to pop in there and get...
Take a seat. Kolumbia is busy for the next 20 minutes.
20 minutes? But I could always come back and...
I said take a seat. You are expected, and you will meet with Kolumbia in 20 minutes.
For a moment, Zarida stood there, gaping down at the receptionist. Anxious and horny energy jostled in her with fury, and yet it had no place to go. Taiga stopped typing, and then she slowly looked up at Zarida.
If I have to get out of this chair, what you feel from me will not be pleasant.
Zarida practically leapt into one of the chairs beside her desk.
And don't you even think about slipping into one of your shadows.
The weight of the world crushed her with clobbering force. The black crystal in her pocket vibrated and jingled. Dread pooled at the bottom of Zarida's stomach as she pulled it out. A small image of a screen hovered above the tip of the crystal, with a message that said the following: "How sad for you. I'm going to find another victim." Zarida's insides twisted inside her and she frowned. When she looked up at Taiga, a chilling rage began swirling in her like an icy tornado. Taiga looked directly at her with piercing, knowing eyes. A smile began growing on the old crone's face. She pressed a button on the desk.
Miss Kolumbia, Zarida just arrived. May I please send her back?
I had expected her 20 minutes ago. Send her back.
Taiga didn't break eye contact with Zarida, but her smile grew all the more. Zarida got up and walked up to the door.
You heartless monster.
Taiga simply laughed as Zarida entered Kolumbia's office. Kolumbia, the Citadel commander of Titania Technologies, sat behind a glass desk with a pair of black chairs in front of her desk. She wore a dark red suit, with blue pinstripes running up the length of it. Her shirt was snow white, and her tie was the same color of blue as the pinstripes. Her dark red hair was long, falling to her jawline, and her crisp blue eyes fell upon Zarida when she walked in through the door. Kolumbia's skin was milky white. She also wore blood-red lipstick and dark blue eyeshadow.
You kept me waiting.
I was waiting out there for like 12 minutes. That wretched hag told me I had to wait 20 minutes.
Even though the door was closed, the muted sounds of hysterical laughter boomed through the walls. Zarida balled her fists, and she bit the insides of her lips when the Citadel commander grinned from ear to ear.
Let me guess. She made you miss an encounter with Heaux, didn't she?
Zarida's jaw muscles tightened, which caused Kolumbia to laugh.
You know you only have yourself to blame. You did cheat on Taiga's granddaughter with Heaux. Do you have the data I require?
Zarida reached into her infinity bag and pulled out a flat, circular pink gemstone. She placed it on the glass desk.
Here is data related to all of the Anam Vaporator sites, as well as detailed schematics of 3 of the site's defenses. I've managed to hack into 3 of the Arcanist workstations, and I plan to infiltrate the last Arcanist soon. Would you like me to risk it and try and get into the head of R&D's terminal?
I would not advise that. If you do, you will be discovered for sure.
Zarida jumped a little and looked over her shoulder. Sitting on a couch right beside the door was none other than Mogeta, the head of the R&D for Titania Technologies. She was a thin Nymphian with dark purple hair tied into a ponytail. It trailed down her back. She wore a pair of red-framed glasses in front of her blood-red eyes. There was a small mole on her right nostril. Her eyebrows were slightly bushy. She wore a lab coat with a shooting star pattern. Beneath Mogeta's lab coat, she wore dark blue slacks, a pair of open-toed sandals, and a seafoam green t-shirt with a cartoon turtle with bushy eyebrows on the front of it. Zarida hadn't noticed her when she came in, probably because she was so hot and bothered.
Yes, I agree. We can't risk your cover being blown. So far, no one suspects?
No, ma'am. After all, I am the best in the business. Remember how I helped you dominate and devour Puck Industries?
Yes, you're great. Continue your surveillance, keep out of sight, and be prepared to initiate Operation Retribution at a moment's notice.
Yes, ma'am. I can't wait. All this planning and maneuvering has been leading to this. So is there anything else you wish to discuss?
No. I'll review your intel and then be in contact if I have any questions. It's a shame. This meeting would have only lasted 5 minutes. You are dismissed.
Sourness festered in Zarida's stomach as she left the office. As she passed by Taiga, she glared hard upon seeing the old Nymphian's evil grin.